Make a move and the bunny gets it.
I said, put the bunny back in the box. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
It's showtime.
Psychically, I'm very well endowed.
I wanna know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide. I wanna know what you're feeling. Tell me what's on your mind.
Yes! We got it! Gen X Files is ours! Let's go!
Whoop. Hold on. Bingo. All right. Here we go. I guess a little bigger. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Thursday night. I don't often do a Thursday night show unless I get something really inspiring. And I watched a video clip last night that I thought kind of summed up a little bit about the whole Reactor channel phenomenon. Now, it's got its ups and its downs, and you know, some reactors have kind of given it a bad name in a way. But this is this phenomenon, reactor channels. It's only been like widespread for, I would say, the last 6 or 7 years, maybe. And you know, you've got channels that I've watched from first upload to you know, hundreds of thousands of people watching. I've watched people go from I'm just going to try this out for a while, see how it goes, to paying their own way, you know, actually quitting their jobs and going into it full time. And, you know, there's some reactor channels that are, you know, better than others. There's some of them that are so annoying that the person thinks that they're, you know, that their reactions are the entertainment, you know, and more than the actual making an assessment of what they're watching. And you know, when I see that, I usually I click off right away. But then you got some of them that you got somebody and you know, there's some of them that I watch and I'm like, okay, there's no way you don't know this content that you're watching, and this is fake reactions, and you can pretty much tell when you see that. You know, people that try stuff like that aren't really good actors, you know. So, but then you see some that were people who have absolutely like you know, we think it's kind of universal, some of the bands that we like or some of the bands that we follow, and you'll find people out there because of the like universality or the pushing of hip hop. There's generations out there that don't even know who Leonard Skinner is. As a matter of fact, some people who watch this might not know who that is. And I'm not a big Skinnerd fan. I like maybe one or two of their. I'm more Molly Hatchet than I am a Skinnerd guy. Um, Look up I've Got Dreams sometime. But the thing about it is though, is watching people discover the things that we know or that we've been very familiar with, and like discover things that we kind of take for granted, and you kind of get an enjoyment of the thing that they're discovering, even though you've probably heard it thousands of times. Watching somebody hear it for the first time, and you're sitting there and this part is coming up. This part that's always, raise the hairs on your back, Uh, it's coming up, and this person doesn't know what they're about to hit, and then they hit it, and then their eyes go, whoa, and you're like, exactly. Because it's just so much, it's so fun to get a confirmation that what you think is awesome is indeed awesome, and I think it's something that is kind of like universal about, back in the day when we didn't have like streaming or anything like that. I'm Gen X, so I predate widespread internet use. But back in the day, if you got a tape or got a single or got an album or you watched something on MTV, you and your bros would trade with each other. Oh man, you got to listen to this, you got to listen to this, or have them over to your house and you would listen to stuff together. And then you're like, oh wait on it, wait for it, and then bang, it would hit, and then their eyeballs like, oh, whoa, what was that? A David Gilmour guitar solo or Eddie Van Halen or something like that. That's one of the things that made hair metal so important, and was, maybe the songs were vapid, maybe, but, if they had a good vocalist or incredible guitarist, you'd wait for that solo, and, Marty Friedman era of Megadeth. Every time Marty would come in, you're like, oh gosh, oh man, we're in for it. What we're gonna hear now? But the thing about it is to see somebody who's like a guy named Alex Hefner, who said he's a hip hop head, and he's never really listened to any other music but hip hop. You see that a lot, and it has to do with the fact that the hip hop was pushed so hard in the last 2 decades. I mean, it dominated the charts. From you got people like Drake. I've never heard like more than 2 or 3 Drake songs, and yet Drake has broken all sorts of records, like Elvis records. And I'm like, why is he so big? Or Beyonce, who has like 13,000 Emmys or something like that. Grammys. And she puts out a country album, and they give her a country Grammy. And she's up there kind of like, why are you guys giving me a country Grammy, and you see stuff like that, like certain people are pushed, like Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is average. She's an average singer. Her songs aren't that great. They're written by committee. And, maybe early on she had a little bit of perkiness to her. But when she came onto the scene and everybody's like talking about in awe of her, and oh man, she's incredible. They gave her a songwriting, like, award when she was like 16 or 17 years old. And she was writing like early Monkeys level music, I mean, really simplistic poppy stuff. And it's like, why are you guys giving her all this accolades and stuff like that? Her whole entire career's been astroturfed. She's average. I mean, I can name you 5 or 6 people off the top of my head, women, who are far better than her. And I mean, so like the Warning, the trio of girls that make up the Warning. Any one of those three girls who are sisters could kick Taylor Swift's ass. And it's like, why in the world has she got these universal concerts that are projecting all across the world? And it has to do with what the industry is pushing. And she happens to be an industry insider, by the way. She was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Her dad was an insider in the industry, and she never had to struggle. She never once had to, work her way up from the bottom rung. She woke up, came into the life on the top rung, and she's never. That's the reason why she has such a complete, total disregard for the rest of us. She's a princess. People that went to school with her will tell you that. I've seen testimonials of people that went to school with her, and it's like nobody that went to school with her is a fan. Okay, let's just say that. The people who know you, who know you aren't fans, then it doesn't matter what the image is. Dolly Parton came up the hard way from the same area, and everybody who knows her is still a fan of her. Everybody in personal contact with her is still a fan of her. The Smoky Mountains is right over the hill from me, and I have never run into anybody that had a negative thing to say about Dolly Parton. And oh, by the way, incredible music writer, incredible writer of songs. She did One Afternoon, produced Jolene and I Will Always Love You. One afternoon. She wrote it in one afternoon because she caught her husband making eyeballs at a bank clerk. And she went into the spiral of despair that she was going to lose her husband. And she wrote 2 songs that, they are what they are. One of them especially, the biggest song, maybe in all of history, sales-wise. But so when you see true talent, and things like that, meritocracy is only in the eye of people who've never heard it before. Okay? And everything's been so astroturfed that people think they get told this is the pinnacle. Beyonce's the pinnacle. Nobody's better than Beyonce. So what do? These awards come around, they vote for Beyonce because they're told she's the pinnacle. She's the best. It's just as good as it gets. They've never heard Shaka Khan. I don't know there's people out there who can totally, run the floor of Beyonce because they're told she's the best. They're told over and over again by the music media, by the press and everything. But then you watch the same people who think Beyonce's the best thing that's ever happened to sliced bread because they're told from the time they're toddlers all the way up that Beyonce is the pinnacle. That's the best. That's as good as you can get, right? And then these Reactor channels, the people in these Reactor channels, they will hear somebody like Floor Jansen from Nightwish hit a D above D flawlessly with a mixed head voice and sustain it for almost 4 bars. And they're like, whoa. Because they don't know what they don't know, right? And the more you're exposed to, the bigger of a perspective you have on what's good and what's not. Okay, I mean, I've had my mind changed so many times, or I showed something to somebody, especially when I first met Drunk Craig, R.I.P. And I showed him Catherine McVie doing a version of Somewhere of the Rainbow. It's like an incredible version. She did it on, I think it was American Idol. And I was like, isn't that incredible? And he's like, that's Ava Cassidy. And I was like, Ava Cassidy? He's like, yeah, that's Ava Cassidy's version of Somewhere with the Rainbow. She can't hold a candle to Ava Cassidy. I never heard of Ava Cassidy. He's like, let me share. And so I wish I had a camera on me when I first heard Ava Cassidy do her version of Somewhere of the Rainbow, because I'm sure I was just totally gobsmacked. And it changed, raised the bar. It raised the bar for the rest of my life as what a female voice is capable of. And the kind of emotion that Ava could just put into. I'm sorry, it's Eva. It's Eva. I'm sorry, it's Eva. That she could just shove into a song, and it was a song maybe you've heard 1,000 times before, but when Eva sang it, it became something entirely unique. And I haven't seen enough Reactor channels do her, or watch her videos yet. I'm hoping that she'll get her day. People need to react to her. They really do. But, you see Nightwish Ghost Love score from Wacken. I think it was 2004, maybe. But Flora Janssen, just absolutely, this beautiful, tall, statuesque woman with an operatic voice, who can also add the rasp of a rock singer, and then just absolutely blow the top off. And I've seen video after video. I never get old watching reaction videos to her, because I see these people, their horizons broaden overnight about what is capable, what is possible, right? And that's important, because as the mainstream has suppressed meritocracy in favor of their pets, in favor of the people they have under contract, in favor trying to get a bigger piece of the ever narrowing pie, and save it completely entirely for their clients and for the artists that they're pushing at the moment. And because of that, meritocracy has not been in the formula as to who makes it and who doesn't for a while, for a long time. I mean, it could have been just from the beginning. And that's the reason why so many of these acts will be a flash in the pan and then they'll go away. Because they had like one moment in time where they had this perfect song that they couldn't replicate. You see that over and over again with the one-hit wonders. Most of the time, it's a song that's completely out of characteristic for them. You have a super group like Mr. Big, and they'll do this goofy song called "To Be With You," and then suddenly they're the "Be With You" group, or extreme more than words, and suddenly that's all people expect from them. And yet, both bands are super groups when it comes to instrumentation and ability. And you listen to the rest of the albums, and it does not sound anything like those songs. Yet those songs are what were the ones that hit. And then the people who like that song want more of that song, and the bands suddenly can't break out of it. What reaction channels do is these people, they will often go down a rabbit hole. If they find a band or an artist or somebody like that, if they see one song by them and somebody recommends another song, they'll go down the rabbit hole. And so groups they're not being, the single being pushed to radio is not how the Reactor channels are working. So you'll get a group, and their whole entire catalog is starting to be pushed, or starting to be explored, and starting to be discovered. And because of that, groups that once upon a time there would be like one single that played over and over and over again by the A&R reps on the radio, and pushing it into the radio so often that people become ubiquitous, and suddenly there's a backlash and people don't want to hear that song anymore. Like Iris from Goo Goo Dolls. Iris is still an incredible song, but they overplayed the crap out of that song. But you know what? I never turn the station when I hear it. If you don't know which song that is, look it up. You'll recognize it immediately because it got played a lot. Okay. But the thing about it is when they overplayed those singles, the rest of the group's catalog didn't get explored. And so a lot of these groups just deserve better than what they got in that that one song was not even the best thing that they do, or it's not even indicative of who they are. Like Mr. Big had Paul Gilbert from Racer X on the guitar, and it had Bob Sheehan from the David David Lee Ross solo band, for a solo band, who is a soloist on the bass. And he got these two guys together with a very good drummer named Pat Torpey and a singer called Eric Martin, who just been torching bars all over LA for years. And it's a super group, basically the pinnacle of what was possible. I mean, Paul Gilbert can hold his own with anybody, okay? And Bob Sheehan maybe had one other person on the bass that could do anything near what he did, and that was the guy from Metallica, that Cliff Burton. And so Bob Sheehan was like on the level of Cliff Burton, and you put him with a guy named Paul Gilbert who, did stuff that Yngwie Malmsteen was like, what did you just do? And they put them together in one group. And yet they do this one goofy tune called To Be With You. It's acoustic. And suddenly that's the only thing anybody wanted to hear. And it ruined the trajectory of that band. Suddenly, people were leaving after they sang that song. So they would sing. Paul said that they would sing the song at the beginning of the concert and let the people leave that like that song, and then they knew whoever was left was there for the show, and not that one single, So it's that's just the way things have worked. But what reaction channels have done is basically brought the whole entire catalog and put it on the table. Because these people didn't hear these singles over and over on the radio because they weren't tuned into the radio. A lot of them, and all they heard was hip hop. That's all they've heard is hip hop. And hip hop recycles so much of this music that when they hear the actual song that the hip hop thing come from, when the guys that knew Ice Ice Baby would hear the riff, the dun 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 dun, dun bass riff from Under Pressure, John Deacon's bass line from Queen. When they would hear that, they're like, "Hey, is that Vanilla Ice?" And then you're sitting here like, "Oh man, no, somebody way better than Vanilla Ice." And then you see them discover John Deacon, John in Queen and David Bowie, and that song is this song is amazing. But the thing about it is, though, is what these reactor channels do is it makes music universal again. It takes it out of these little compartments that radio has gotten into, to where, because of the Clean Air Act and like 4 companies owning almost all of the radio stations in America. But the programmers are like, oh, we're a hip hop station. Oh, we're a country station. Oh, we're, once upon a time, the DJ just played whatever the frig they wanted to play. If they're going to play, something from Bob Denver, I'm sorry, not Bob Denver. Denver's Gilligan. John Denver. If you want to play something John Denver back to back with Black Sabbath, they would do it. And it's just whatever their muse was at the moment. And so people get exposed to all sorts of music. And what it created was a informed base of listeners and consumers. And so what's these reactor channels are doing is it's reviving that informed listener, that informed consumer. And so you got 12-year-old kids whose favorite band is the Beatles, or 8-year-olds who want mommy to put on Led Zeppelin or something like that. I mean, This phenomenon is happening, and the younger generation are rejecting this canned, algorithmically perfect music, and they're looking for something authentic. Oliver Anthony, music. Chris Lunsford. You know, when he came up with Rich Man North of Richmond, just him and a guitar in the backwoods with a decent mic, and singing his heart out about how Congress is screwing us all over. And everybody's like, oh yeah. And the reason he broke so big was because of Reactor channels. Because they would look at that raw, honest song about something that's universal to all of us. And they were like, hey, dude, you need to listen to this. You need to hear this. And they would pass it on. And the Reactors have kind of got this network going of if they'll react to something. And then there's like message boards where they're like, where people are like, what are people reacting to right now? What's being pushed by the algorithm? And so they'll all like, oh, okay, well, I've never heard of this one. Let me play this one or something like that. And so a song will suddenly have its day, you know, right? Like Ren, the hip hop artist. He's just an artist. He's not just hip hop. But this kid from Wales went viral about I don't know, about 3 years ago now, with a song called Hi Ren. And it went viral because of the Reactor channels, and everybody was checking out the Reactor channels. And this kid who was struggled with Lyme disease, and he'd just gotten back into the industry, wrote a song about he was misdiagnosed, and they gave him antipsychotics that made him psychotic, and he had a voice in his head that basically told him to jump out of a car one time, you know, and so he did a song where he was having an argument with that voice called Hi Ren. And at the end of it, he did a spoken word poem that's so powerful. And reactors after reactors after reactors watched that, and it just became a thing. Black Pegasus, the channel Black Pegasus, was basically built on him introducing Hi Ren to his friends. And then his friends were such good reactors that they basically started up Reactor channels, and it's a massive move in the industry. Now, let me play something for you right now. This is something I listened to last night, which inspired the show. And this is a black man who's a hip hop fan who never heard of heavy metal or metal music, and he finally got introduced to metal, and he discovered it was suited him. He discovered that it was the kind of music that synced with his soul. A black man, okay? I mean, we have these stereotypes. The reason why we have stereotypes is because we're told if you're this skin color, then this is the kind of music you're gonna like or pay attention to. I know hillbillies that love hip hop. Okay, you know this stuff has been pushed on us so much. But this gentleman, he goes by Lucky, and this he had this reaction. But he was talking about how metal music changed his life. But there's a caveat here. Let me share this with you right quick. All right.
But it was on a slow grind to where I end up being, or I end up moving to, right? So I did a bunch of those videos in 2025, the end of 2025, maybe 9 months ago, maybe. I remember doing reaction videos, and some videos started to catch a little bit. I mean, I had 1,000 views on one video, maybe 3,000 views on one video where I was doing reaction videos to something in pop culture, some rapper, some, I don't know, some silly. And but I was trying to figure out my way. I didn't have a theme. I didn't have a plan. I just know I want to do content some kind of way, and I'm going to be consistent. That's one thing I did stay down with. I was always consistent with the things I did do. And I remember one time I came across this one video, which I've told the story early on, but I'm getting to the point of what happened on Instagram the other night. I came across this one video. It was a drummer, and it was a drum. It was just the drums. It was just the drums and no music. Now, obviously, he was at a concert, but it was just the drum track they played, which I thought was cool. I thought that how do you mute the music and keep the anyway? I thought that was dope, and he was killing it, and he had a mask on, but he was a bigger guy and aggressive, right? And I was like, man, I gotta do a reaction to this. I don't know, this is just dope. I didn't have any idea on it. I just wanted to do it.
He's talking about Seven from Sleep Token, by the way.
And I ended up doing that reaction video, and they got a whole bunch of different views. Like people came out of nowhere, like, yo, he's dope. He's one of the greatest. He's this, he's that, and that. And I'm like, wow, I had no clue. I just thought something was dope, so I posted it. And then all these people start flooding the views in my page, and it was metalheads, right? Which I thought was cool because they approached me like I had already been doing reaction videos. But because in that video they were telling me, yo, you need to do this group, or you need to do he's from Slipknot, you need to do Slipknot, or you need to do this group. And I'm like, I've never dealt with metal ever in life.
Okay, I'm sorry. It was Jordy Jorgensen from Slipknot. My fault. I missed that earlier. I thought he's talking about Seven from Slipknot, who's also a beast. But Jordy Jorgensen was incredible. If you haven't watched some of his early stuff, amazing guy.
Not just because I had an idea about it or a preconceived notion, or I probably did, but I just didn't think about it. And I was thinking to myself, like, man, why didn't I ever get into metal? What stopped me from doing heavy metal? Like, what stopped me from listening to rock? What was it about, like, programming or your community or the way people lock into their genres and kind of stay in that one genre and never really venture out? What is it about that keeps people away from something global? Rock and metal is global. So how didn't you experience it in any kind of way? Now, mind you, got songs that were bigger than life that you came across that was probably on movies and TV and commercials for sure. But how haven't you never dived in? Why didn't you never ever dive in for yourself and hear some of these records, these artists, and these songs? And I just didn't. I was so boxed into hip hop. Why take a look outside of hip hop when you have hip hop? That was the mind frame, and I guess the timing was perfect because where I am in my life now, I'm always looking for more. I'm always looking to expand my mind frame on things and open my mind frame up and experience life differently. I'm a black man from Los Angeles, California, who rededicated his life to Christ in 2023 and then took the shackles off myself, even being a Christian, because I didn't want to be one of those holier than thou, burn people at the stake Christians. I just thought that was ridiculous, and that's not what Jesus taught. So once I removed all of that programming off myself, then I met metal at a time where my mind is open to explore. Let me see what these people are talking about. Let me react to some of these groups these people are telling me to react to. And then I did that, and then life changed for me again. For the better. Now, this is the part why this video is made. I was looking at that metal page I talked about in the beginning, and I was looking at these videos of, legendary performances and concerts and behind the scenes footage of like Ozzy in the early days, or like Iron Maiden rehearsing at some club in London. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it had a lot of legendary footage of great moments in metal. And I'm going through these videos and I'm looking at all these groups and these people, and most of these things, you gotta understand, I learned inside of 8-9 months from now. So all these names that I do recognize now, all these songs that I do recognize now, all the groups and the members and the logos and the some of the performances, some of the songs that I recognize now, I'm just now being introduced to. And it's a funny thing when you're looking at these groups and I'm looking at all these moments in metal, and I start to get a little weak inside. Like when I say weak, I don't mean weak like I mean like I felt a little like emotional. And it started to weigh heavy on me. And I felt like I was going to cry. Now, crying, I'm not embarrassed about. I'm a crier. I'm a big dude and everything, but I'm a teddy bear. And I am a crier. And when my emotions get too high, I'll cry because I like to let it out. And as I'm looking at these videos or these moments in metal, I start to feel like I want to cry. But it was the reason why that kind of messed me up. What messed me up was, a lot of you don't understand, when I do reaction videos of some of these groups, these legendary bands, or just these bands in general of a lot of different metal groups and stuff like that, I'm recognizing and realizing these, or I'm being introduced to these people for the first time. So when people leave comments like, "Oh my God, that was so great," "Oh, rest in peace, such and such," or "Man, I remember this song, it was so dope, man. Oh man, rest in peace to the drummer, such and such. Oh, she was an incredible voice, man. We're gonna miss her. Going too soon, such and such." And for me, I'm reading through the comments, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, they're gone, or she passed away, or he's gone, or what happened to him? What happened to this person?" And as I'm doing the same thing, looking through that metal page, and I'm looking at the videos, and I'm looking at I'm like, wait a minute. I'm just being introduced to what I consider one of the greatest genres of music in the world, metal, in my opinion. No hate on no other genres. I'm just my opinion. And for the first time in my life, I'm finding something and re-loving something in music. Hip hop started to get away from me, started to go saturated, money, the people. It started to chip at it, tear apart. It's hip hop is turning into like what jazz was, right? And people looked at jazz like a dead art, even though it's alive and thriving. But as far as what it was supposed to be, it's a dead art. No disrespect to nobody, but you know what I'm saying. And hip hop is going down the same way, same trail. So I'm finding metal, and I'm like, yo, one of the greatest genres of music I've ever experienced, with personality and fandom and community and sound, musicality, the rebelliousness, the fu-ness, the rage, the control, the pain, the hunger, the energy, the softness. So many things that come with metal that I'm consuming every day, and it's like a high. It's like Christmas. Every day I post a new video, I listen to a new song, and then just when I get my hands on it, it's gone. Just when I learn about a Pantera, you tell me half the group has passed away. Tragically. Just when you tell me about one of the greatest voices in metal, and I hear the song, and I'm like, this is one of the greatest singers of all times, and you tell me he's gone? It's like so many people like, yo, you got to do Black Sabbath. I do Black Sabbath just for you to tell me Ozzy's not here. So it's a very unique kind of position because you all know this. You've dealt with it. You grieved over it. Fans and friends alike. You grieved it. You know this. You got used to it. And it's the thing for you. It's a memory for you, and a sad memory in a lot of cases. But for me, it's like somebody keeps slipping a rug from under me. It's like I just reacted to Dio, and I'll never be able to see Ronnie in concert. My first Black Sabbath reaction was what 6 months ago. I'll never see Ozzy live. All I have is an MTV show because I got him too late, and then he was gone after that, and I started hearing the songs after he was already gone. I'm hearing Dimebag was one of the sweetest people in the world, as well as being one of the greatest guitarists people have ever heard. And that story I don't want to repeat. And the fact that your brother was there, and then he's gone. So for me, every day I wake up, I'm looking up bands and all this dope material and classic records and learning these songs and listening and excited about one day being able to see or meet somebody. Just for you to tell me, rest in peace, going too soon in the comments. Or just for you to say, damn, man, we going to miss him. Or we going to miss her. Oh, look, it would have been cool if you saw them perform at the such and such. All these great, incredible stories of how you met these people. I remember seeing them back in 75, or I remember seeing them in 1990. I went to the such and such concert, and I seen them live, or I met such and such at a coffee shop in Germany, and all these great, legendary stories about all these people that I am just now falling in love with. For the first time, I'm meeting all these people, all these great people I would pay to sit in a room with just to hear them talking. Just to sit at a table and pay just to hear them stories. And I'll never, ever, ever meet them.
I mean, think of that. Think about hearing Pantera, classic Pantera, Walk, Cemetery Gates, name your favorite one. And see that effervescent spirit that Dimebag had, and the unique ass backwards way that he had of playing the guitar that was like nobody else, And then finding out what happened when that jackass walked on stage and ended his life just because Phil Anselmo was running his mouth and this guy took him seriously. That's what happened. Phil Anselmo ran his mouth because he's a jackass, and he got Dimebag killed. And several of his friends. That guy, he shot several people that night. And not all of them made it. But the thing about it is imagine that you're reacting to Pantera for the first time and hearing this incredible music and seeing the presence that man had. It's Dimebag, just the way he was on stage was like nobody you've ever seen. And then finding out, oh yeah, he was gunned down. I mean, and then getting that story, gunned down in front of his brother right there on stage. Because some guy got butt hurt that Pantera broke up, and Phil Anselmo blamed it on Dimebag Darrell. And so he blew away Dime, even though Phil was the reason why they broke up. And everybody knows it. Now, well, luckily, Phil's on stage, making money. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm a little bitter, I guess. Dude's never gotten the hate that he deserves for that. He didn't even go to the dang funeral. I mean, Darrell deserved better. Did anyway. So the thing about it is I mean, imagine that you hear Ozzy and then know that he died a year ago, or hear Ronnie James Dio for the first time, and the elf with the lungs of steel, little tiny man with a gigantic voice, and find out that pancreatic cancer took him out about 8 years ago now, and so you'll never meet him, and But the thing about it is, this man, you listen to his assessments or what he's listening to, and he gets metal. He gets it. When you hear him talk about metal, it's like the guy could be bald headed with tattoos up to on his neck, headbanging at a concert, and he would be no less metalhead, with hair down to his butt and the appropriate T-shirt with throwing devil horns. This guy would be right beside you in that concert, and he would get it. And he's a black man from the ghetto, who discovered metal and discovered his people. And but now he's finding out that these people are gone. A lot of them are gone, And but the beauty of that, we are told that this culture is not analogous. We're told this culture is fragmented. We're told that depending on the skin color here is what your tastes are gonna be, or what you should be paying attention to, or stay over in this little box we've got you in. And what reactor channels do is reactor channels remove the box, and you'll see people from like some of my favorite reactors are from Australia, and some of them are from Texas. Got some from England. English reactors are really awesome. You got some vocal teachers that will react to stuff and tell you, this is the nuts and bolts of what she's doing there, or what he's doing there. This is proper technique. This is improper technique. Charismatic voice. That lady's operetics trained singer, and she was hearing these metal people do these things with their voices that she was told was bad. And yet she's looking at these long careers of somebody doing these growly vocals and without damaging themselves. And she actually opened up she actually started bringing in these metal singers and doing MRIs on their throats and oscilloscopes on their throats to try to figure out what part of their vocal folds they're using, because evidently they're using proper technique for what they're doing, but mainstream singing or the voice teaching industry was warn people off of doing some of these things, and there's proper way. Evidently there's proper ways of doing it. So she's doing a research project on these metal singers, and she's developed friendships with a lot of these metal singers. And now what's going on right now is that YouTube is trying to destroy these channels, and it's trying to destroy the channels that are doing music theory. They're doing teaching music history. One of the things he was talking about, that he would pay to sit in a room to hear people talk and give these stories, and what's happening right now on YouTube, like Rick Beato, Professor Rocker, like the two biggest. The charismatic voice, she does some of these. She does some really incredible interviews. But I mean, like Professor Rock got Brian Wilson to talk. Brian Wilson doesn't give interviews, and he did multiple interviews with Professor Rock because Adam Reeder is just such a cool dude, and such a fan that every time he does interview with one of these stars, he's like, "Oh, remember this, or this is a fact, a factoid," and that guy's like, "Oh, I didn't know that, really." I didn't know this chart position, or I didn't know something like that, because Adam manages to surprise him. But Brian Wilson said, "You're the best interviewer I've ever had." He says, just ask me what you want to know, and I'll tell you. And so we got to hear from Brian Wilson before he died, details that he never gave before, that were lost when he died later that year. And they would be lost to history. And Professor Rock is doing, and Rick Beato is doing these interviews with these legends, I mean, David Gilmour doesn't do interviews, and yet he sat down with Rick Beato. the whole entire police. Rick Beato got the whole entire police to sit down with him, and oh, by the way, Sting, who doesn't do interviews, sat down with Adam Reeder, and had a great time with Adam Reeder. Professor Rock, and the YouTube is trying to kill it. He's trying to kill it right now. But they're fighting back. So let me share this with you right quick.
Well, welcome to the revolution. I just wanted to quickly recount the last few days of a crazy week here in YouTube land. I never knew on Monday that this would go like it has gone. So on Monday, I put up a video of the top 10 albums in 1985, and I got 3 copyright claims since I covered multiple songs in the video. Now, this has followed countless problems that I've had over the last month or so, where it felt like open season from labels and third-party entities on my channel. So I changed the title, and I let everyone know that it would be my last video on top 10s if I couldn't get this sorted out, because I was just sick of it, frankly. It takes so much effort to put these together and all stuff. And then Tuesday morning, I put out my interview with Michael Anthony, formerly of Van Halen. I was excited about it. It got blocked by a label for using 5 seconds of an AC/DC song. So I did a live stream later that day. Many of you have probably seen. For some reason, it took like 3 or 4 tries to get it to go live due to errors. And it was hard not to feel like my channel was under siege from a lot of different places. Finally got it to work, and I explained, what's been happening over the last little while. And I was astounded at the support from all of you. Seriously, in the first hour alone, I had like 6,000 comments from you in the community and on the stream. Like 20,000 likes over a couple hours. So many messages of keep fighting and you got this, and how much you enjoy the channel and the content. And many of you shared possible solutions and advice. And I had a lot of people reach out saying I should talk to other YouTubers like Rick Beato, who's been through this and more. Been through the ringer. And I was just humbled. I still am. I am so grateful because it gave me a second wind and a strong resolve to fight on no matter what. So from my heart to you out there in the community, truly, thank you. It was a couple of sleepless nights figuring out what was going on, and it meant a lot to me. So then later that night, I saw a bunch of notifications. I'm getting people hitting me up on LinkedIn and Instagram and X and everything. And on my Instagram, I got one from, guess who? Rick Beato. I was smiling from ear to ear. I have a great respect for Rick and his content. To me, his level of excellence is virtually unparalleled in his field for what he does, which is why he has such a huge following. And, he said, Adam, heard about your struggles, and I think I can help you out. So we texted back and forth, and we set up a time to talk, and spoke the next day for like 45 minutes. He took that much time out of his day, told me what he's faced, how he's fought thousands and thousands of claims, and won all of them. We had this great discussion. In person, he's exactly the way he was on his channel or over the phone. He's passionate, he's integrous, he's gracious. I was truly grateful for that expertise. We had some laughs. It was a fun conversation. Talked about, life on YouTube and what we're trying to do in honoring music. And I may have mentioned that we should do a collaboration at some point, since I've received thousands and thousands of requests over the years for that from all of you. We'll see. But the important thing is that Rick couldn't have been nicer. He's truly one of the good guys out there, and his support and his advice, along with your support as a community, it just made me feel 20 feet tall and invincible, like I'm going to beat this thing. So Rick told me over the phone, Adam, it's fair use. All of it's fair use, what you're doing and what I'm doing. And I know that, actually. We worked with Michael Donaldson for years before I even had a YouTube channel. Michael Donaldson is actually the industry's go-to attorney for fair use. He came up with a fair use doctrine, in United States copyright law that permits limited use of copyrighted materials without permission from the rights holders themselves. But the problem is YouTube doesn't respect fair use. When we get a claim as creators, they wash their hands of it and they leave it up to the entity who made the claim, whether they own the music or not. We have to fight it. And the person who made the claim is the one that gets to make the choice. But the burden of proof should be on them to claim that it isn't fair use. In fact, Resh Scholl did a great video on this. So I'll link to it below. You can watch it there.
Okay. So what's happening right now? That's just a little bit of that stream. If you haven't seen Professor Rock, I suggest, and Rick Beato, I highly suggest you check their channels out because they're just amazing creators, and they're documenting and preserving things that we are losing like every day. You know, some of the interviews that Professor Rock has given that he has in his archives should be in the Library of Congress, legitimately. But that whole fair use thing, what's going on right now is, that system he's talking about. That's the system that that YouTube has been using to just destroy these channels because, fair use, you should be able to play a certain amount of time, and as long as you're transformative, you should be able to. But YouTube has added in this live algorithm, and it has jacked me so many times I can't even count at this point. Anytime, and it has forced me to stop using anything that was ever put out for any kind of profit, because the bad thing about it is that you'll have things that the people will permit to be shown on YouTube, and some AI scraper from Eastern Europe will make a copyright claim on your content, and YouTube will say, okay, well, somebody's got a claim on it. They don't even check. There's no apparatus for them to check on this claim, and so there's Eastern European people that have created entire corporations that are claiming YouTube videos and getting and YouTube will send them the money. We'll write them a check for somebody else's content, and they'll just, and then later on when the claim comes, every claim that's ever been made against me that I have protested to YouTube, weeks and weeks and weeks later, after the video's dead, that the video is no longer viable, they will release it. That my Eva Cassidy, I did a short of her singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I put a filter over it to make it look like an old VHS tape, and I just played my video was less than a minute, and it's supposed to be within fair use by their own terms, and I had that claim released like a month later, after, and what I did was, to get around it, is I put money on it to promote it, and while YouTube at first is like, well, there's a claim on this video, it can't be promoted, but it did promote it anyway, and then I got the numbers. I got some numbers on that video because Eva deserves to be known. She does. And but my bunny is thinking series is all about, I'm thinking about these creators, the creators that made me, or the creators, the entities of the videos, the movies, the television shows that made me who I am as a person, the things that had such an impact on me. I did The Crow, I did Monster Squad, nobody watched that one, but I did it. I tried to do Secondhand Lions 4 weeks ago, and I still got a claim on me. I've still got a claim or a strike on me that's going to be there till September because of that video, because I kept trying to play it, because they kept taking my channel down, and I was determined that I was going to play these clips, because you can see them on Rumble and you can see it on X with the clips in it, and they struck me because of that, and I still got it. I'll have it till September, and all I could do was I took the videos. They literally took the whole entire stream down. Gone. And so I downloaded it from Rumble and uploaded it to YouTube, and I cut out all the clips. And so it's on YouTube here. And you'll have me waxing poetic about this movie and what it means and how important it is. And but you won't be able to see the clips. Won't be able to see the clips I'm referencing. And it's because of the live algorithm is absolutely way too aggressive. And you'll get it cleared through the system at YouTube, and that algorithm will take it down. Live. The live stream, it will take it down. And nobody knows what they're doing. They're just, I mean, and a lot of people think what they're doing is they're trying to force or trying to raise up bigger entities like the people who actually own these copyrights to make content on YouTube. And so that will push out all these smaller creators. It'll push out the reactors. It'll push out all the strata that has made YouTube what it is today. And it's going to destroy the Rick Beato, thousands and thousands of copyright claims. Every single video he's put out. As a matter of fact, he stopped doing certain kinds of videos because he just got tired of fighting to get them up, to get them up on the stream. So he stopped fighting it. I mean, he's got interviews with the actual artist, and he'll play a clip of what they're referencing, and that will get struck. And the artist is sitting right there. The artist is sitting right there. And his video, that clip will get struck by YouTube and say, well, you can't use it. And so he's got to go through the process of getting, making copyright claims, going through his lawyer and making copyright claims. And it's so punitive. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to force out everyday creators like you and like me. And Rick Beato's he's got 5 million subscribers, so he's got a budget. He's got a lawyer on retainer. Professor Rock is getting just about as big, and he's going through the same lawyer Rick Beato's using. Charismatic voice. She's one that has had a lot of strikes that she's had to deal with. She's one of the ones that's kind of teamed up. Justin Hawkins from Justin Hawkins Rise Again channel. He's also a I can't remember what the name of his band is right off the top of my head. It'll probably come to me later. A Thing Called Love. It's I believe in A Thing Called Love is the name of the song that's most known by his group. The Darkness is the name of his group. But think about it this though, is I hope these people persevere. I hope these people stick with it, because it's causing the biggest cultural shift in our lifetime. All these people discovering all these groups and discovering things in common with other people that they wouldn't know from Adam. This black man, this beautiful black man, discovering he's a metalhead. And he's every bit of metalhead as anybody out there. And will headbang right beside you in concert. And yet he's discovering all these people are gone. By the time he discovers them, he finds out they're gone, and he's mourning it. I mean, imagine hearing the Dimebag story after just discovering him. Right, that hits you right between the eyes. It's like when I discovered Ava Cassidy died young after Craig introduced me to her, and I think he told me the story before he introduced me to her. But what a gut punch, This incredible, beautiful voice that's uplifted the hearts of so many people. And she died of melanoma at 29. And the industry heard her voice, but because she refused to be pigeonholed into one category, they didn't do anything with her until after she died. And then they put out album They put out an album, and that album caught a DJ's ear in England, and she broke in England before she broke it here. But that's the way she would have wanted. She was not pretentious at all. But these reactor channels are the lifeblood of the cultural revolution that's going on right now. And to all these people who are doing these reactions, keep reacting, keep discovering, keep putting a spotlight on all these artists, keep sharing with one another, and keep the revolution going. Because I think when we look back on this period of time, the fact that hip-hop has disappeared off of the music charts, the top spots of the music charts suddenly, has everything to do with people discovering that the music that hip-hop has been using and sampling, and discovering that you go closer to the source, you get the true impact. And so all these my black brothers and sisters who are young urban kids who only listen to hip hop all those years, all years of your life, and are starting to explore other opportunities, other places, other musical styles, keep going, because you just scratched the surface, and it's all beautiful. So thank you all for coming. Didn't have very many on the stream. I didn't expect very many on the stream these days, but hopefully somebody will see this. That banner at the bottom that I've been running, that's from Mr. Lucky's show, The First Gentleman. I've looked at some of his other content last night, and he's very, very entertaining. But just to watch his journey, to watch him discover things that I've taken for granted, makes me rediscover things that I forgot were awesome, because I hear it every day. You know, I've heard it so often. But Sweet Home Alabama I can do without, and Freebird. Okay, but I'm in the South. That stuff. It's like everywhere. Sorry, not a Skynyrd fan. Just not a Skynyrd fan. Three Steps Mister is a pretty good song. That's about all. That's about the only song that I'll still listen to. Maybe Simple Man. Anyway, thank you all for coming. We will talk to you next time. Follow the White Rabbit. And bye, everybody.
Thank you.